have to be on the lookout always. Even if we're hunters, we are constantly being hunted. As the enforcer, everyone's eyes are on you and they're not always friendly.
A look of confusion crossed the young tyro's face.
Vampire politics. Someone could hold a grudge. If you're not staking someone, you could always get staked. There's more out there than just other vampires to worry about.
I know. That's why we have to keep our secrets safe.
Yes, but I'm not talking about the average human. I'm talking about hunters. Hope that you never meet one. They see no difference between vampire and enforcer. We're always the enemy to them.
A grassy smell came from between the trees.
Found him. Ricky! I know you're there. Step out.
Hey there, hombre. What brings you in here, Enforcer? I haven't been killing anyone since your last warning.
But the vampires under your tyro have. Are you going to be responsible for your tyro or not? The House of Skulls needs guidance. They're undisciplined children.
Is that a new trainee, Enforcer? Hey, kid. Do you like that he calls you a rookie? That he bosses you around?
I'll call my tyro anything I damn well please. Don't listen to his poison.
So stiff. Is he always like this? No, I'm not in charge of the House of Skulls. I'm like a gift giver. Damien has my gift, and he shares it how he wants with others. He has what he's always wanted. Power, freedom. I want to see what they'll become. It's one of the few things that makes this life interesting.
I understand your concern with Inui, but now he's wayward. They might have freedom, but they never learned that with liberty comes responsibility. I killed one of the skulls recently because of your negligence.
Mark didn't think vampires could get any paler. The vampire in the leather jacket did just that as he whispered.
Which one?
The one who wore the stupid mohawk. He tried to kill my future apprentice. Picked the wrong human.
But he's a vampire.
Now, sooner than I'd hoped, thanks to him.
Shock always did things his own way, so how am I related to this?
Visit your old crew. Give them a warning for me. Next time I see them as the enforcer, there will be no mercy.
Do you ever wish you were human?
Enforcer. Listen to this. Kid, I don't regret anything. We need more vampires. I'm the one who changes others. I'm the one who keeps a race alive. Not like you, Enforcer. This is the first time I've heard of you changing someone. And a goody two-shoes, no less.
Making new vampires leads too often towards chaos. I will be watching you, Ricky. Let's go.
So, do you want to go to a concert? Grapes and Wrath are playing tonight. They rock!
Heck yeah!
A strong stench of body odor and staleness caused Mark to gag and cover his mouth. A homeless man leaned against an alley wall. He was the same one whom Mark saw before loitering around Dive's pub. His tattered case of vampire weapons was open and at hand. He seemed to be asleep, but when they approached, he slowly cracked his eyes open and watched them with an almost unnatural stillness. Mark tried not to stare or act strange. He wasn't sure what the man was thinking and doubted if he was sane. The homeless man closed his eyes at rest again. Kyle and Nate didn't glance his way and passed the man as though he didn't exist. Mark supposed that it were true. Most people wouldn't notice a poor man who didn't have a firm hold on reality. The loud music hit Mark's sensitive ears. Mark held his hands over his ears as he looked around the club. No wonder his doormates disappeared many nights during the last semester. The whole place fit them. The headlining band was Grapes and Wrath, Nate's favourite. Deep-toned German and English lyrics flooded the nightclub. Fangirls wearing fishnet tights lined the first row, screamed names and begged for the band to touch their outstretched hands. The crowd rocked their heads with the band, raising first and pinky fingers up, saluting the music. The club moved like a beating heart, pulsing to the rhythm. A throbbing pain filled his gums as his vampire teeth pushed through. It was overwhelming in the club. Dangerous. Unsure if he could control himself, Mark began to sway as he pushed past a couple of pretty girls with the dark eye makeup and mesh shirts. The whole crowd, the immersing concert, every moment of it engulfed him. The bass from the speakers pounded through his body. Hugging himself, he felt as though he would pass out from the overwhelming senses. Deep within him, he called for help. The lead singer on stage took off his shirt in the middle of a song, bent over, and screamed into the microphone. Picking up his chant, crowds swayed together. The people demanded more, threw their bodies against each other, and formed a mosh pit. Oh shit. Mark was caught in the middle. Jump stepping in all directions, the concert flailed, letting the music control their movement. Nate and Kyle appeared near Mark. They used other fans as bumpers, pushing into them before bouncing back into the pit of humans. As the music became faster, and elbows flew into faces, people were punched in the stomach. One girl fainted. The crowd carried her out as the rest of the fans continued to move their bodies, worshipping the music. They were a chaotic cult of metal rock. Mark got hit in the side and ducked an elbow to the face. One guy was stepping too chaotic, and Mark pushed him as he hurled towards the vampire. The push flew the man back against the wall of people. The mosher didn't care. He laughed it off and took smaller steps. At the edge of the crowd, Mark watched the mosh pit widen as the moshing people increased. Someone limped from the pit with an open cut on his cheek. The metallic scent cut through the smell of sweat and alcohol. Holding his mouth, Mark turned away from the tempting scent. Nate saw Mark struggling. Waving Kyle over, the two guided Mark to the back of the club. Stunned, Mark was thankful for the rescue. The twins watched Mark as his fangs receded to a normal length, but didn't say a word. The twins led Mark to a black painted door with a silver skull painted in its center. A moonlit club sign next to the door warned, "Off limits. Staff only."
Hey, where are we going?
There's someone you should meet.
Mark's skin broke into goosebumps as they opened the door and walked into complete blackness. The basement had been painted entirely ebony. Mark's eyes widened. People actually lived in this gloomy place. All furniture, the floor, the walls were black. The setup reminded Mark of how theatres are designed to black out once the spotlights dimmed. One small light shone in the room. If it went out, Mark doubted that even with his vampire sight he'd be able to see. In the deep shadows, a goth male squinted his black-lined eyes at him. His expression cast darker shadows on his face. His sharp eyes never left Mark as he and the twins descended the staircase. A woman in her early 20s stood next to the goth. She tugged a gothic Lolita skirt and a black high-collared shirt. She pursed her lips.
They came.
Bass from the upstairs rock club made a constant rhythm above as they sat still in the basement. Damien closed his eyes and listened. He sneered at their guest once he opened his eyes.
You should have told me your friend is a vampire.
Mark startled.
Did you think I wouldn't know? No heartbeat.
He tapped his palm against his chest.
Damien, Genshu, this is Mark Delaware.
Mark recognized them as the same creepy group from the St. George Amphitheatre. Why were they here? The guy staring him down was the vampire the professor warned him about, and Mark had walked right into their den. How long had his friends been hanging out with them? Stunned, Mark turned to the twins, but they didn't seem surprised with the ghost's reaction. Damien scratched the number 2000 tattooed on the calf beneath his coal-coloured pants. Mark felt that something was off with this vampire. Motioning to the twins, the guy with the eyeliner frowned.
Come and sit beside me, you two. Nate, I asked you to bring me an extra snack tonight. Instead, you bring another mouth to feed.
The twins shrugged and acted unsurprised at the news that he was a vampire. How long had they known? Why didn't they say anything sooner? If they knew this is a group of vampires, why would they hang out with them? Mark swallowed. Only human blood donors would. Is this why they were always late returning to the dorms that semester? Mark thought about the bruises he'd seen on the twins. This guy obviously had no respect for his friends. The tattooed vampire sat down and motioned for Mark to come closer, but Mark remained standing where he was.
So which group changed you? Don't be nervous. We'd find out anyways.
Mark gulped. His throat felt dry, scratchy. Damien looked at Mark's finger and a look of disgust crossed his face. Mark showed his ring.
The Society of the Arts found you first. Now you're with them. My name's Damien. We've no leaders here in the House of Skulls, but I speak for what's left of us.
Even if he said that, he obviously acted like their leader. The professor had known these vampires were watching Mark while he was still human. Is that why Mickelson offered immortality? Mark hoped that he honestly wanted him to be his Tyro and not because he didn't want this group to have a new toy. Mark cautiously watched the couple staring at him. He didn't like learning there was a group of stalker vampires close to home.
Skulls are better. We're free. But joining the Society of the Arts, you couldn't have joined a more stiff organization. Every vampire in the Rockies knows about the Society. They rarely speak to other vampires. Except for the culture of love. Those hippie vampires get along with everybody.
Damien frowned. His attention turned to the twins who sat next to him. He spoke quietly to Nate.
It's been a while and I'm very thirsty. Mind if I take a bite?
Nate stiffened, then slowly nodded. Damien threw Nate against the back of the couch and bit his neck. Holding down his shoulders, the vampire drank ferociously, some blood spilling down the vinyl furniture. Nate gasped with pain. Suddenly stopping, Damien pulled himself away and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Nate's grimace turned into a smile, a donor's usual reaction from having his blood sucked. The vampire was close to killing him, but Mark's doormate seemed unaware. He was high. The other member of the House of Skulls ignored him. Zhenshu was drinking from Kyle, but she was more gentle with her actions. But even to Mark, it was clear she was drinking too much, without a thought for her donor. The Society of the Arts' relationship of trust with their donors promised them safety and that they'd never be abused or shared outside of the society like cattle. The House of Skulls was brutal, and it didn't take an experienced vampire to figure that out. Their whole feeding seemed wrong. It was sick. Mark was horrified. Licking off some blood, Damien extended Nate's arm towards Mark.
Take some.
They're my friends.
No, they're my friends. Aren't they your friends? That would be up for Nate to decide.
Kyle looked at Mark with admiration.
But your fangs.
Damien pointed. All of the spilled blood affected him. He shouldn't be hungry, but he wanted blood. He fought the urge to drink and the thought of his Nate. He wouldn't bite his friend. He would not become an animal again as he'd been at Mrs. Violet's house.
Not thirsty. I'm young. I haven't gotten used to the scent of blood. It's all still very new to me.
You're still pretty new. I'm surprised you came here. No one in the society does.
Bunch of stuck-up snobs probably don't like free blood. Probably don't want to drink from the peasants and all that.
He pointed to a few college-aged teens slumped on back couches. They were asleep. Bruised bites marked their neck. One looked a little younger than the others. Her breathing was shallow, and she looked like her makeup was days old. She stood up with shaky legs and tottered up the stairs.
Don't look so shocked. Our guests come and go as they like, sweetie. It's their choice if they want to party with us. But back to you being a vamp. We are what we are, whether we were given a choice or not. So, did the society give you a choice?
She suddenly gave a vulnerable look to Mark. He couldn't figure out why she looked wistful. Longing, even.
I wasn't.
Damien sucked in a breath.
I didn't have much time to decide. A vampire attacked me, and I was dying.
An attack, huh? Like I said, hanging out with us is better. You should. We're short members in the House of Skulls and could use someone new.
Do you think we made a mistake becoming vampires?
Damien looked shocked and glanced at Zenshu.
Never. I'd never want to go back and become a stupid human either. Listen, we're the apex predator. In the survival of the fittest, no one wants to be the prey. Think about joining us. All the best bands play here. Music is good.
Not even Charlie visits?
That jazz guy? Nope. Is he your progenitor?
Him? No. Professor Mickelson is.
Slamming a nearby table with his palm, fury crossed Damien's face, but he quickly tampered it down. His voice sounded odd.
The enforcer of the damn code. Listen to me. The professor is dangerous. The killer of vampire kind. He doesn't just enforce the code, he breaks it. No vampire drinks from another, but I heard he does. He drained another like us before. Sucked him dry. Leave him before he decides to make a meal out of you.
I'm not sure.
Damien's eyes had a wild look.
It's not a rumor the culture of love made up after a few puffs of reefer. It's true. You'd better stay away from him. He's dangerous. Forced to link and kill his creator. He crosses lines none of us does.
He's right. Damien and I are close, but we'd never drink each other's blood. It might sound kinky, but it connects you to another. Too much of it and you don't know the difference between what you're doing and what he's doing.
What kind of vamp would drink from another? You tell me.
Mark knew the answer. Only the desperate or the curious. Like someone who'd want to know history and everyone else's secrets. If his progenitor was old, Mark could see the professor crossing that line.
Leave Nate here. He needs to rest. Let's go. The headliner's about to start.
What about the girls?
The night will wear off by morning.
If they aren't out of here by tomorrow morning, dump them by the bus stop, Kyle. They'll find their way home.
Kyle, are you coming?
Nah. Think I'll stay down here with my brother.
Whatever.
Nate looked disappointed. It was frustrating. They missed the concert Nate wanted to see because they were donors for the House of Skulls. What were they thinking, hanging out with vampires? Were they doing it so they could fit in? Mark left him in the dark basement and climbed upstairs. Once he figured out what was going on, he'd make sure they all returned home. Damien silently people-watched from a private top section of the club. Zhenshu saw a group of girls looking up at Damien. She glared at them and swung her arm possessively around him. He chuckled. It was after midnight and Mark wondered how he could somehow slip out of the room.
Oh, the blood bags are here. Changed your mind?
Nate wants to listen to the band a little. We'll be over there.
Kyle pointed to a side table. He and Nate limped away, but kept far from the mosh pit.
He looks a little pale.
Can't help it. I was thirsty.
A foreign accent spoke besides them.
Damien, I see you have our Tyro.
Damien stiffened, then stood slowly up and glared at the trespasser.
He's free to leave. We all are in the skulls. If he wants to stay, he's welcome to.
You'd better go home, Tyro. Your progenitor is looking for you.
Damien sneered.
Yeah, I understand. Don't want to make your enforcer angry. Remember what I said, Mark.
I'm taking the twins back with me.
With that, Mark quickly left with his friends.
Dumb things on street. So many dumb things on street. Dumb